hit my head yesterday after listening to all the Brandon Aiyuk stress. There's a lot of stress, and I get it. He's a really good player, and so people don't like it, especially when you're in a window of success. People don't want to hear that the top names are somehow kind of on the lam, and that's what the wide receiver room is right now. You know what I've always said about this. I mean, maybe this is why I'm
Cap schmap?
No, not cap schmap.
Okay, sorry.
You have to have the stomach for this.
Right.
I don't. But I'm not doing it. I'm not in this. I've never. Can you tell me this? Have you ever had in your life, and we're dealing with peanuts compared to these guys.
Totally.
Have you ever had a contractual negotiation go on for 4 or 5 months?
Yes. Like with this company?
Any company.
With this company, probably 5 different times.
Oh, really?
In my 13 years.
And does it like, and it gets contentious at times or offensive?
A little bit.
Or you take it personally?
I actually, I scrubbed the Odyssey app from my phone one time. That's it. No more Odyssey app. I didn't, Stacey, and I know you're in town today, and Matt Nahigian. That's it. No more Odyssey app. I'm not going to listen to it. I'm not going to promote it. That's it.
I'm more like the way that and I'm not a great negotiator. I'll say that right out of the gate.
Yeah.
I can say it now because things it sounds like are pretty much done. But anyway, yeah, like I'm not a great negotiator, but like when I go to buy a car, I've always had a process because I know I'm not a great negotiator. So I got to sort of do the negotiation in the mirror in the bathroom first. And I'm like, okay, this is the car I want. I'm going to study, and then I'm going to come up with what I think is the right number. And then I put it on a piece of paper, and I stick it in my pocket. And I go in there, and I go, if we don't get to the number, we out. And if we do get to the number, we're in.
Yeah.
And I'll pull that thing out of my pocket whenever I feel like it's the right time to do it. But that's kind of my way of negotiating. It's like, look, here's the deal. And you explain to me what you're thinking, and I'll be straight with you and explain to me what I'm thinking. State of the industry, state of the job you do, how have you done, what will you do?
Right.
Put that puzzle together, and it's like, look, all right, let's be done. I don't, like, I'm not, by the way, this is also a fault of mine. I did this the 1 or 2 times that I was, like, lucky enough to own real estate, and this is 1,000 years ago. You know when you'll get down to the haggling, and it's like, okay, let's say it's and again, this is a long time ago, and it's in a different city. Let's say it's $500,000. All right, $500,000, and they'll come back and they'll be like 510. Fine, whatever.
Yeah,
over 30 years,
dude.
What are we talking about? An extra $3 per payment?
Right.
I don't care.
We did that same thing when we bought our house 2 years ago.
What's stupid? So I'm a terrible negotiator because I'll just be like, fine. That's fine. You want $3 more a month? Let's do $3 more a month.
And that's slightly different than a cap situation and all the rest of it, and Brandon Aiyuk and his contract and where that might actually land. But if it comes down to with one side saying, we're going to give you an average annual of 28.5 and he wants 28.75. Well, at that point, you're looking at $1 million, which is exactly what you're talking about. And you can go ahead and figure out how to meet in the middle at that point, and everybody's happy and it's done and it's signed and the rest of it. But I'm kind of with you when it comes to negotiating. If we're looking at micro amounts of money over a 30-year mortgage, and it's, we ended up spending an extra, I don't know, $50,000 for our house. It was $50,000 over what we wanted to pay, and it was $50,000 less than they wanted to get. And so you thought about $50,000 over 30 years, and it comes down to about $40 a month, if that. And it's like, let's just,
whatever.
What are we doing? What are we doing?
We're talking about where we get to live, like whatever.
Exactly.
Now, this is different. Brandon Aiyuk and the Niners are probably haggling over, who knows, 10, 15, $20 million.
Seems like a lot.
And that's worth it. You got to have the stomach for it. And it sounds to me, and this is normal, I think, like the Niners do. And so does Brandon, and so does Joel Siegel. Or I'm sorry, that's Christian's agent. Whoever Brandon's agent is, I don't even know off the top of my head. They've got the stomach for it. And Torrey Dandy. Oh, is he really? I didn't know he and Debo had the same guy. Torrey is like captain of the wide receivers now. Anyway, so he's got the stomach for it. I don't.
I see Ryan Williams.
Yep, that's on me. Yep. Ryan Williams is our answer.
Torrey Dandy is Debo's.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah. Anyway, whatever. They've all got the stomach for it. Us fans, we don't.
Right.
But I trust the Niners. I trust their roster construction. I trust the way they handle their homegrown, growing star players. I just do. It doesn't mean they hit 1,000. Nobody does. You know, you could bring up DeForest Buckner. You could bring up the drafting of Trey Lance if you want with regard to roster construction. I look at it more of a view from 10,000 feet. Look at where they were. Look at where they are. I trust Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch on roster construction in these decisions.
Yeah.
And I think that they'll do a fine job here, and I think that Brandon Aiyuk is very likely to be a 49er. And if something goes sideways, I would sit there and want to listen to what Plan B is. Let's hear it.
Yeah.
Plan B. By the way, Plan B doesn't even mean that Brandon won't be a Niner. The Niners control him if they want for 2 more years.
Right. But that's not
50-year option franchise tag.
Sure.
You can do that.
You can, but they won't. So if you're Brandon Aiyuk, you're not looking at that as anything other than a laughable notion, because the last time the Niners used the franchise tag was on their kicker, Robbie Gould. The Niners don't use the franchise tag. They just don't. And so if you're Brandon Aiyuk, you're not even thinking about that. Now, 5th-year option, playing on that 5th-year option, that might be something that Brandon has to look at and figure out if he wants to do that and how he would do that. And TJ Hushmanzada, his personal coach, told us a couple of months ago that, yeah, his advice would be to go out there and ball out and make him regret not signing you to a long-term deal now and make him pay for it. And that's the way that he would have to go about it. But as much as you have faith in the Niners, I have that same amount of faith in Brandon Aiyuk that he will, if the contract doesn't come in where he wants it, he'll come in and play football and do the right thing.
Yep. I mean, I agree with you. I think both sides are pretty dug in. I don't know how far apart they are, whatever. But anyway, that's kind of an interesting question, I think, for 49er fans. Do you trust this regime when it comes to roster construction? We'd love to take your calls, 888-957-9570. Go ahead and dial it up.